What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another live edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. Welcome to the Quarter 3 Mailbag. Welcome to the pre-qualifying rounds of the Heat of the Moment tournament. Welcome to whatever we end up doing here. Who are we?
Welcome to whatever.
You should know who we are by now. I am whatever. And Rob is whatever. I'm Tony Mango. Robert D. Felice is with me.
And neither one of us live in a state that's anywhere near North Carolina.
Thank God. Yeah, we're live here. We've got people funneling into the chat. I kind of didn't give anybody much of a chance to get started here, like I normally give about a minute's worth of, hey, we're getting started, and funnel in. And I was just like, nah, I'm just gonna click it. So we're just getting started. We're just gonna kind of dive into things here. So thank you for joining us.
There's a chance that a portion of this conversation is just me and you. You know, who really knows? It's all up to you in the comments. Get your questions in. Ask them. We're open books.
Bring up the good old ask them. I haven't done that in a while. So yeah, if you are joining us for the live chat, ask your questions, because that's kind of part of the mailbag. We do have questions that were submitted ahead of time, and we will get into those. And as I said before, we're going to kind of dive into some tournament stuff. Actually, you know what? Maybe we should start with that, just in case people are still kind of, because we had said that we were going to get started somewhere between 2 and 3. I didn't give anybody really much of an opportunity to be like, this is exactly when we're going to get started, because I didn't know. So Peter's in chat. There he goes. Thanks for waiting on me. Thank you for joining us, Peter.
Be nice. How'd the recording go, pal?
I was recording recently? Yeah, tell us about that, Peter.
Yeah, he was recording.
So I guess, yeah, let's start things off with this whole Heat of the Moment tournament, just because, I don't know, kind of get that out of the way. It's not going to have any other spot here in the mailbag. It's not like somebody's asking mailbag questions about it, because most people don't even know what the hell that's going to be. That is going to be our new tournament in the summer. And since, it's the summer, we were like...
The other one is, not around anymore.
Yeah. Not the best thing to keep doing anymore. Instead, we're going to be doing something that's based off of heat, because it is the summer. It is heat.
It is scorching here.
I don't know what the temperature is around May. Let's see here. Weather around May, 94. Fuck. I'm glad I'm inside. That's not good. No. When you get the 90s, no. Not the 90s are great. Nostalgia and everything. I had a tweet out last night because I was feeling very philosophical. I was like, nostalgia is an attempt at medicine when you think you're on a broken timeline.
That's good.
And Dark Jedi on Twitter responded back, well, see, if Brock Lesnar would have beaten The Undertaker, wouldn't have beaten The Undertaker, we wouldn't be on the timeline. I'm like, yep, exactly,
Oh, great. That's so ridiculous that we keep going back here and it works.
I'm so mad I couldn't get to do that interview with Drew McIntyre where I could have asked him about that, because that was the one question, and more than anything I wanted to ask him, which honestly was not the best. I'll talk about the book and everything that would have happened, but I really wanted to ask him about the conspiracy theory behind different things, and then just be like, so I got this theory. I got this timeline theory. But, where did I bring up the tweet about? I don't know. I slept weird in the past few days. 90s are great. That's what it was. And it's 90s nostalgia, but 90s heat, not great. Heat of the moment, hopefully will be great. What we're going to do with that is we're going to focus on the heels that are going around in the pro wrestling business right now, in at least just WWE and AEW, because otherwise it's going to be way too hard to keep track of things. But the way we're going to do that is it's going to be half AEW and half WWE. And the whole gimmick is who is the best heel act going on in each company today. And then eventually, when we get down past the semifinals and we figure out who the best act in AEW is and who the best act in WWE is, then the two of them go up against each other, and then we've got our answer. So we got to narrow that down a little bit to the point where there's an option for people to vote on the qualifying round. And I'm thinking it's going to be pick your top 8 heels and your top 8 or your top of your 8 heels on both sides, not and baby faces. It's not heat of the moment. Who's got the best baby face thing? But we might do that in the future too. I don't know. The idea behind it though being we gotta figure out what options we're gonna give people the option to vote on. So we're gonna do that in the meantime before we get into the mailbag stuff. And since I wanted to get people's opinions about some of these kind of things, I figured, you know what, that's an opportunity for people to chime in during the mailbag and toss out their suggestions of who they think should be in there. So Rob and I really quickly, I mean, not like, in the span of 45 seconds or something like that, but we're not going to take up too much time, are going to, kind of look at the rosters and sort out who should be on this poll. And yeah, like I said, drop them in the comments if you have any suggestions about stuff. So I guess let's start with AEW. Obviously, Kenny Omega has to be on the poll.
MJF has to be on the poll.
MJF. I was thinking, I don't know if Team Taz should be a team or if it should be more like Ricky Starks separate. What do you think?
I would do it as a unit. I don't know, because they're not... Right now, they're very intertwined with one another.
Because, like, Powerhouse Hobbs, for instance, I don't think he'd be anywhere close to somebody that people would vote for, because he's not the one getting real, like, heat. And I guess maybe Taz, though, is, like, so... And Brian Cage, not really even in the mix anymore when it comes to that, as a separate guy. So I guess maybe Team Taz, just as a group. What do you think? Final decision?
I would say Team Taz as a group. And I would also say, just really quickly, Nyla Rose, because she's the top heel in that women's division. I would say...
well, not as much as Dr. Britt Baker.
Well, no, she's not a heel anymore.
She's not supposed to be a heel anymore? Then again, I have people who...
I mean, she was put through a table on Dynamite by the much larger Nyla Rose, who has been a heel since day one in AEW. I don't think she's a heel anymore.
Oh, I'll put Baker on there for people to...
She's a tweener. Listen, you have a list. If you had a heel and face turn list, we would have a situation.
I don't know what's going on this week, but this week, so many people are going, oh, this person's there's The Miz is a babyface? I'm like, no. No? What? Sami Zayn's a babyface? No, he's not. No. And who was the other one that somebody had said? Somebody said somebody else. It was just like, not in the slightest bit. So I don't know.
Alexa? Was it like, oh,
there's a lot of Alexa stuff, yeah. Because she teamed with babyfaces, so.
All the babyfaces, so yeah, she's clearly a babyface.
Yeah, forget who the other one was. If you're the person who left the comment, tell me. But it was something that was just like, it's not even LA Knight being a babyface.
For what reason?
No idea. So yeah, at least we got that babyface and heel thing, not sorted out. FTR, Pinnacle. I think FTR. I think separate would probably be better when it comes to the Pinnacle because MJF FTR, on its own.
MJF.
Sean Spears.
I'd probably leave off. Well, it depends on how many you need.
Oh, we don't have any like specific amount.
We doing 8? What are we doing? 8 and 8? Are we doing 16-16 or?
As close to 16-16 as we could get. That way, people have more of an option because they're going to pick 8 apiece.
All right, so I think it's only fair if we do 8 men, 8 women. Try to get as close to 8 women as possible. Because God, I didn't realize that until I said it. But the women's acts in mainstream wrestling are dwindling, aren't they?
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. So for the men, I'd say MJF, Team Taz, FTR, Ethan Page.
Oh, that's right. Like, I gotta get Ethan Page. Do you think Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky together, or
you can lump them as a unit? See, that's the thing. AEW's got a lot of units, right? Because there's like You got Kenny Omega, but you got the Super Elite. Are they a unit?
Yeah, because Young Bucks, I think, need to be on their own, separate from Kenny. But then, like, the Acclaimed, I guess they should be on the list as an option, but like,
I put Matt Hardy.
they're not even feeling so much like that. Oh, Matt Hardy's definitely on the list. Yeah, Miro on the list.
Oh God, Miro's great.
Wardlow separate. If anybody wants to vote for Wardlow, The Factory, and QT Marshall.
Yeah.
Cutie Marshall. What a cutie. They were gonna go with Cutie Pie, but they decided. Penelope Ford, I guess.
Is that why he's got the apple, Tony?
Yeah, it's all good old apple pie. Well, I guess it doesn't really hurt to have like as many names as you could just toss in there, but like, actually, there are not a whole lot of heels on the women's side. Yeah, I thought it too. Abaddon's not really a heel. I guess the bunny.
You got the bunny.
Yeah,
right?
I had the bunny on there.
She's a heel.
She's a heel. Exact same thing. When you watch too much, something to wrestle with.
And when you just spend too much time together, this is getting ridiculous. But yeah, so let's see. We only need 8 heels for the women. I'm not even sure they have 8 like strong female.
Yeah, we're not going to get 8 heels for the women on that, but I guess we don't need 8 and 8, then 8 and 8 again. We just Michael Nakazawa. Nobody's going to vote for Nakazawa on there. Archer's not really a heel. Joey Janela's not fully a heel yet. I guess we could add TH2 if people wanted to vote for them, but nobody's going to vote for them.
Good lord.
Wow, there's not a whole lot of options for, I guess maybe...
Yeah, wait a minute, what's up with AEW? Are they all baby faces?
Butcher and the Blade, Private Party, add them separately, just to kind of round this out as more options. And then I think that's all the heels. Kind of.
All right, cool. So they're all on the list.
Weird. I mean, Brandon Cutler. Yeah, I might as well just add all of them if that's the case. Like, because there's not a whole lot. Andrade.
Oh yeah, let's just throw them on there.
Andrade. At least there's more options when it comes to WWE. So on WWE side of things, I had written out a chunk of them already.
Roman.
Here's what I already had written out. I got AJ Styles and Omos.
Okay.
Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Alexa Bliss. I tried to put it in alphabetical order originally. Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz.
Were you gonna say Amanda?
And Amanda Aziz. I have Austin Theory down, but I don't even know if he should really be an option.
Anymore, right?
They're like kind of tweeners.
They're 50-50 because the women are, but
right.
Johnny needs to be a babyface right now.
But I do have Johnny Gargano on here. I've got Bailey. I've got Bobby Lashley and MVP.
Yeah.
Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. I forgot to write in Indy Hartwell. I got Carmella. I've got Chad Gable and Otis. I think I have them separate though. Yeah, I have them separate.
Merge them.
Charlotte Flair, Dakota Kai, Frankie Monet, Grizzled Young Veterans, Hit Row as a group.
Hit Row.
Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. I should probably just merge them as the Usos instead. We'll talk about Jimmy Uso in some way. We got Jinny. I've got Jordan Devlin.
Where's the Fabio twins?
I do not have Pretty Deadly on here, so let me add Pretty Deadly. I've got... he's not King Corbin anymore, so he's just Baron Corbin. Kaylee Ray.
Dad Corbin right now.
Nia Jax, Noam Dar. Maybe I'll add. And Shaw Samuels.
Eva Marie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because I started writing up this list before. Eva Marie. Got Legado del Fantasma, Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, Raquel Gonzalez, Pete Dunne, Sheamus, Sonya Deville, The Miz and John Morrison, Volter, Xia Li, and Tian Sha.
So what do we need to break this down to?
Well, I guess we'll probably just have as many options as people want, because they're going to vote on the top 8 that they want. So, we can kind of.
So there's top 8. If I had to guess,
Elias, I forgot that on there.
If I had to guess, we're getting Reigns, we're getting MJF, we're getting probably Kenny because people like him. We're gonna get Eva, or maybe we just don't get Eva because people are just that upset about it. We'll get maybe Adam Cole. Bailey has to be on the list.
Who am I forgetting on Raw? We got Jinder Mahal.
I don't have him on the list. Mahal?
And then that might be like kind of Mason T-Bar.
Who is Mason T-Bar?
He's kind of like Mason Ryan, Mason Verger, Mason the Mutilator. Mustafa Ali. I forgot about Mustafa Ali. Not going to give a separate thing to Shanky.
Poor beer.
Mandy Rose, Nia Jax. I already have Nia Jax on there. Yeah, I think that's everybody, right? Is that everybody too?
All right. I think we're just like naming. I feel like wrestling should have more heels than it does.
Oh, I totally forgot about Seth Rollins.
Oh, come on, man. He's the Messiah. He's good. And then they have a match for 6 weeks in a row.
I didn't add Zelina Vega on there because she's brand new, meaning that she's not brand new, but she's back.
She never.
LA Knight. Forgot about LA Knight. Because he is a heel, not a babyface. I don't know where that's coming from. These new breakout tournament guys, they're not heel or face yet. Funny that Brendan Vink's got his third name now.
What's Brendan Vink's third name?
He is Duke Hudson.
Is he the one in the tournament?
Yeah, Duke Hudson.
Dude, that's amazing. He's still there with another name.
Yep. I guess we had Karrion Kross and Scarlett and Diamond Mine and Imperium. I have Walter on there, but Imperium goes separate too. All right, I think that rounds everybody out, sort of.
I wish this was like back in the days of more solid heels, because like we should have a stronger list. It kind of feels like it's going to come down to. It feels like you could predict the finals right now.
At the very least, the 8 on both sides. I don't think that there's going to be much of a chance that people don't go with somebody like a Roman Reigns on the WWE side and, that kind of thing. Like, nobody's going to vote for, like, Teoman, for instance. Or maybe they do. I don't know. I'll add them in there. We'll get into that. Anyway, I didn't want to spend too much time on this. I just kind of wanted to...
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, kind of wanted to
mailbag. Let's get into some questions, Darren.
Yeah, let's do the thing that the actual thing's all about. And let's catch up on the chat a little bit here. I see that Alex is in the chat. What's up, Alex? I got a question. Like, what happened to everyone? Wago Payton, the one that went to college, just the one that went to college. That guy.
The sole one that went to college.
So, yeah, Wago doesn't watch WWE pretty much all that much anymore. Payton doesn't really watch anything like that anymore. Drew has fallen out as well. Kaylin has fallen out as well. So
here's what happened, guys. Wrestling isn't that entertaining.
Yeah.
And people have fallen out of it.
Yeah, it's mostly people are just like, yeah, I kind of stopped watching or whatever. So
as much as I love the fact that, like, I love you and I love Callum and I love what we do, but I remember when I did the How I Met Your Mother podcast with you, Smark Out Moment still had like a large contingent of people. Like,
yeah.
And that was back in 2014.
Yeah, it's weird how much that's changed, but I'm hoping to get people on for the anniversary show, no matter what, because that's not really going to necessarily be like, hey, let's review the current product of wrestling. It'll be more so just like, oh, let's all hang out,
Hey,
that kind of thing.
let's shoot the shit and hang out before Tony gets married.
Right. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the case, and that I can get as many people in the past as I can. You know, Braden to come back, get Dace to pop back in. You know, whatever it might be. Peter's got a question here. I have 2 questions about my album. Who owns Cowboy Callum Wiggins?
Oh my God.
The people own Cowboy Callum Wiggins. And would Caroline be interested in doing art for the cover? I'll have to ask Caroline about that.
Oh my. Oh, Peter, I can't wait to see what you come up with.
Ben says, wait, Austin Theories is for the sexy superstars. Peter says, Jimmy Uso is on the list. Happy Corbin, Doudrop, the Sasha count. I don't know about Sasha. Did we put Sasha on the list? Because she was the heel for sure with the Bianca Belair feud, but she's fucked off since WrestleMania. But then again, if she, I guess I'll put it this way: I won't put up the qualifying round until after. No, I can't put it up at that point. I was going to say until after Money in the Bank, but I think I kind of have to based off the timeline. If I wait until after Money in the Bank, then I'll see about Sasha Banks. If in the meantime, I'll put an other vote in there. That way, I'll do that. I'll make it to where people can vote other. So if we're missing somebody, or if somebody like turns during the week with the qualifying round, people would be able to add somebody in there. There you go. That's the answer. Oh, Eddie Dennis. Totally forgot about Eddie Dennis. Eddie
with that Teoman, like, but we're just gonna add people.
Yeah, I added Teoman when I was saying nobody's gonna vote for Teoman. I forgot about Kenny Williams too.
Can you say off the top of your head who Teoman is?
A wrestler on NXT UK.
Can you give me any descriptor outside of that?
He's got a family.
Very good.
Yeah, so let's dive into some of those questions that had been submitted ahead of time. I actually have purposely not read some of them.
Oh,
so I don't know what they'll be, but I did read some of them, and I'm going to go back to some of the older ones. The oldest one that we had gotten was sent in on May 6th. That was from Rachel Miller. She asked, why is NXT pushing its women's division so heavily as of late? Is it because the NXT women's division draws ratings? I think it's because they're just good.
You would hope that they're drawing ratings. I don't give a shit about ratings. Like, I think we're at a time where everything is so niche that everybody knows what they like, and there are a contingent of people who just want to watch women's wrestling. I think NXT's got one of the best women's divisions in the world. And I think that's why they push them, because they're good. Good things are good.
Yeah, good things are good. You got, like, The Way, you've got Io Shirai, you've got Toni Storm, Raquel's been doing so much better than I imagined that she would have been when she first popped up with the Mae Young Classic. She improved dramatically. You've got Xia Li doing great stuff. You know, you just got a good group of people, so I see no reason why they shouldn't push them equally, if not even more, you know? Peter asked in the chat, on that note, NXT women's call-ups are coming. Yeah, you know what? I guess, I don't know, we're going to kind of, I don't know if we should even kind of combine this, maybe on a whim. If we end up not having a whole lot of discussion, then kind of doing the hot tag sort of thing, yeah.
I'm good with that.
You think we should just kind of make this hot tags plus mailbag plus whatever, save ourselves one extra recording?
Yeah, we'll end up watching a movie instead because
might end up happening. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe we will do it. Let's save the hot tags. Let's do that. Save the hot tags for the other thing. We'll talk about some more specifics, but at least for the Great American Bash,
getting called up. I can say that. Like
Shotzi getting called up for sure. Yeah,
Shotzi and Ember need to go up.
I think Ember might be better staying, but
it doesn't matter. SmackDown needs women. The fact that they're not even doing qualifying matches because they don't have women is disturbing.
I do think that the women's tag title change is maybe signaling something else. But I don't know. Because I had thought Io Shirai would definitely be going up. Now she's champion. She could drop it in the meantime.
Honestly, Hunter loves Io. Maybe he's fighting like, no, let me keep this one because you're not going to do anything with her anyway. I don't know that. I just can only imagine by the way he's talked about her. He's just trying to find spots for her so she doesn't go up.
Maybe that's what they are basically prioritizing. It's just sort of like, well, she's not going to be champion right now, so let's just give her the tag titles because it's another thing. I thought that it was partially to get off Candice and Indy. But then again,
it could have been.
I'm also kind of thinking that Karrion Kross is going to drop that title to Johnny Gargano, and then if Johnny Gargano sticks around, then they're not going to bring up Candice and Indy. And then you got the Indy and Dexter Lumis stuff, so I guess that she at least stays. But you could also bring up just Candice and Johnny, but then that breaks up the way. I don't know, man. That's tough. Shotzi's coming up, though. We know who Shotzi is. That's got to be the case.
She's a great character. I mean, they dropped the ball with Ruby, and Shotzi is in that same like punk rock vein.
Yeah.
But I do think Shotzi's got a little bit more showgirl to her.
Some chutzpah, as some people would say. Some pizzazz.
It's a very like Northeast old man. It's got some chutzpah.
Yeah. You know. Be like, I like the cut of your jib, kid. You got spunk. Kind of, you know. But I think that she's coming up. I thought that Io Shirai would be coming up. Now I don't think so anymore. I got a weird feeling that Aaliyah is going to end up coming up. Because you know how they just do that? Like, they'll just take somebody who's been around in NXT for a while, and they'll just be like, all right, you know, sink or swim kind of thing.
You mean like how they called up Chelsea and then didn't use her?
Yeah. And like Santana, they were going to do something with Santana Garrett.
Or Vanessa Bourne, who they never... Who wasn't even... Her call-up was reported through Fightful Select. And we never had any inkling outside of that one report that she was called up.
Yeah, that whole thing, we talked about that mess before. But yeah, I think it's mostly just a matter for Rachel's question. The NXT Women's Division has some great performers, so they push them. Because why not? There's a reason not to, right?
I think NXT, more than any other wrestling brand, is going to thrive in front of people again. Like when they get in front of like full rabid crowds, and you can get that vibe of like it's still so much fun to be in NXT. Because remember, NXT went through its most awkward growing pains amid a global pandemic. You know, like there's no way they were going to thrive in that environment.
Yeah. At least they still have the people there now. It's better than what it was.
That's true.
Like that Capitol Wrestling Center environment's significantly better than recording in front of nobody. Man, I do not miss the Performance Center shows. Like that Thunderdome and the Capitol Wrestling Center, they're not as good as, you know.
Raw.
Yeah. Now it's just like we're getting to that end game where we are at the end game essentially for that. At least we hope.
Next week.
Then you know, we're gonna look back on this era as just absolutely strange.
I'm surprised like you can't look at too many people who made their name in this era. Like AEW is a weird situation because they played that video package at the end of Dynamite last week, and you're like, oh my god, so much happened.
The entirety of Brody Lee.
Yeah.
Like that, he didn't get to perform in front of a crowd with that.
Which is heartbreaking. And, you know, like, Matt Cardona got a chance. Matt Hardy debuted and changed his gimmick and changed his gimmick and changed his gimmick.
Yeah.
You know, like, Christian debuted, Sting debuted. All of that just in front of the one Jacksonville crowd.
Yeah, that's so... I wonder if people are going to, like, unintentionally edit this out of their brains. Like if they're gonna be trying to think of like old WrestleManias and go like, oh, okay, like like did like a Sporkle quiz or something, and they're gonna be like, all right, so there's like Hogan and Andre, and there's Savage wins the title in the tournament, and then a couple years later you get to like Brett and Yoko and whatever, and if they're gonna get to where they're gonna be like, oh, what was 36?
And you go, Goldberg and Roman. Oh my God, it was Braun Strowman. Like,
right, yeah, like they'll be like, didn't Drew do something? Drew did something, right? Oh, Brock, yeah. Oh, Drew and Brock. No, that was in front of. And then they'll be like, fuck, yeah, that was in front of nobody. And then the Big Show thing. Technically speaking, that was the main event.
That was so scary to me.
That was really. We were both just like, oh no.
Like, oh, he got a Netflix show. Oh God, oh God. Oh.
That's not a slight on Big Show, but it was just like, don't screw Drew this fast,
And Drew, I said this on Twitter. Somebody got so mad at me because I said this on Twitter. I said, Drew got screwed.
He did.
Period.
Screwed McIntyre.
And they were like, oh my God, the company's been behind him the entire year. How can you say he got screwed? Because, like, I have no doubt that his run would have been exactly like Seth Rollins, where people would have turned and he would have done the whole, oh, what about me? I
carried this company on my back on the pandemic.
Like literally just exactly what Seth Rollins did, but in the form of Drew McIntyre. But still, doing this, he did not get any chance to be revered. And now it's like everybody's sick of Drew. Even me, who was like a big fan of Drew.
Maybe this is going to work out in the long run for him, where people were so focused on the pandemic that they didn't get screwed that they didn't get tired of him as fast as they would have, and then maybe when we got a crowd there's a little bit more of a bump up, and then maybe he turns heel, and then maybe it becomes he should have gotten a better shot, and he wins the championship as a heel or something like that. He'll bounce back, I think.
Yeah.
Speaking about that, though, that's a good transition into this next question from Howard. I think the reason why wrestlers aren't getting over and why wrestling is dull nowadays is because they aren't cartoony and gimmicky enough. My guess is that Vince wants to seriously go back to the 1980s and the early 90s, way before the Attitude Era. What do you think about the wrestling now compared to the cartoon era? Rob and I are both fully in agreement. We need more characters.
So, okay, I know that it's a big joke when you talk about the Red Rooster. And
yeah, we don't need those characters.
But like when you look, I've been watching so much 80s wrestling, and when you look at a promo for Survivor Series 88 where it's Bossman, Akeem, Red Rooster, DiBiase, they believe 100% in their cartoon universe. Like, this all makes sense within the confines of this cartoon world of the WWF. The problem is WWE today is just like so wide open that when they try to do things like here's Mace and T-Bar and Reckoning and Slapjack, you're just like, but that's Mia Yim. And we all know it's Mia Yim because she was just on NXT. It's not even like, hey, that's Mia Yim from Ring of Honor, or that's Mia Yim from wherever. That's Mia Yim. She was just on NXT last week. NXT's on USA. What the fuck are you doing?
Who is this woman that's with Eva Marie?
Well,
this mysterious woman that has.
What are Marina and Jessamine doing next to Shayna Baszler? It's like they're friends.
I think we need more legit characters because it's so fun to like go back and watch some of the new generation stuff, and not everybody was like a stupid character either. Like, it's important to keep in mind. Like, yeah, they had plenty of really dumb characters like the Goon, and we don't need the Goon anymore.
But we do need Bret Hart. We need more Bret Hart.
Well, Bret Hart, I feel, is more like the non-character type because he was just a wrestler.
You see, but you look at it now, and even Bret Hart feels like a character because he was so invested. The problem is,
Yeah.
as much as I love things like the New Day podcast and things like that, nobody's invested in their stuff anymore. And that's why MJF and Pinnacle stand out like a sore thumb. Because even if you know they're doing old time wrestling, they believe in what they're doing. Nobody believes in what they're doing anymore. Like, Undertaker works because Undertaker believed enough in every iteration of his character to make it work in the confines of that universe.
Kane as well. And then that's why the New Day works. Because the New Day's like, hey, we're going to have fun. And we're going to try to be fun by doing things like, I mean, listen to that promo that they cut on Monday Night Raw where they were talking to Kevin, what's his name? Kevin Patrick?
Yep.
Is his name? Yeah. The two of them, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, are cutting a better promo backstage to the interviewer than people would do if they scripted the hell out of it and had it in the middle of the ring. Because they're just goofing off. They're just having some fun. They are why, I've loved the New Day since the very first vignette. And I've never wavered on that. I'm like, oh, these guys are amazing. They've been great. They are pretty much, at this point, my number one favorite tag team of all time. Like, even above the New Age Outlaws. And when you compare sets of characters like the New Day.
Is that hot tags for this week? That they were the number one tag team overall?
Oh, were they on that top 50 list?
Yeah.
Nice. They deserve it.
The New Day.
You
know what? On the hot tags, I think we'll break down the entire list.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that because I haven't checked out the list yet. So that'd be interesting to do that.
But I have to say, like, I agree 100%. They mean so much to the WWE tag division. Kofi, I think, may be the most winningest tag team performer of all time. They're great because they're invested in their stuff and they do their stuff their way. I think another issue, and you kind of hit on it, stop doing the in the middle of the ring promos, and I know that's going to only intensify because crowds are back.
Yeah.
But stop doing those promos because Hogan era cartoon wrestling works because they're all done in vignettes. Or, hi, I'm backstage with Mean Gene Okerlund, and here we go, I'm here with Hulk Hogan. And it's, well, let me tell you something, brother. You take out that, it's still real in that confines of that world.
Yeah, and the way that they do the things now, not only is it in the middle of the ring because they want to get the crowd reaction and everything, but it's also, if you want to do an interview and you do it in the middle of the ring, you get to fill up some time because then they have their entrance. And that's an extra 2 minutes that you don't have to do anything. You know what I mean?
Right, because you're not just stepping up to a podium with me and Gene.
Right.
You're standing right in front of the screen for the whole world to see. I don't know. I think you could stand to go back to some old school tendencies.
But, like, take a character like, say, Ultimate Warrior. Not the best character in the world. But he got over. And he got over essentially because not his wrestling abilities, because he was just kind of a superhero in a lot of ways. And his promos were nonsensical.
Right.
Like, nobody can explain what the Ultimate Warrior character is because it's not an actual thing. Like, you can't be like, okay, say Kamala is like this tribal warrior. And then you've got, Skinner is this alligator wrestler, and IRS is a tax agent, and Dexter Loomis is, this stalker creep. But if you say, what's Ultimate Warrior? You go, a coked up guy at a rave?
What's amazing, though, is everybody resonates with him as a wrestler, because it's big guy who looks like he walked out of the pages of a comic book that says, I am the Ultimate Warrior and I'm going to win.
And he runs to the ring and he fights somebody. And
he usually wins in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Because he ran to the ring and fought somebody. and he's that good. And then when you get him against another character like Savage, then it's a little more tense, but the promos are still cartoony and good guy versus bad guy. And I implore you, there will be a tier list ranking on Families Anonymous where Callum Wiggins is going to nail it on the head as far as good guys and bad guys and why that needs to come back. There needs to be a definitive good guy, a definitive bad guy, because this thing where, well, there's shades of gray, it makes it impossible to know what you're doing. Because if I'm supposed to be logical and say, well, wait a minute, why should I cheer Liv Morgan right now? She just cheated to beat Zelina. And by the way, Liv Morgan's won 2 weeks in a row. Why isn't she inserted into the match? It's when you're trying to make it too real, it becomes even more fake.
Yeah, and there's just a big difference too between a gimmicky character that's like way over the top and a gimmicky character that's not into the realm of cartoony and just lunacy. But then, take a guy like Adam Cole. Fantastic performer. One of the best that they've got. But he's just Adam Cole. He's just a guy. Now, you don't need to give him a crazy outfit. You don't need to give him some kind of sensational Sherry by his side who's like, trying to be the gimmick for him or anything. That's fine to have an Adam Cole. But when you've got a bunch of Adam Coles, suddenly Bobby Fish doesn't stand out because he's less of a character even still than an Adam Cole is. Both of them are just wrestlers. But you can tell me more of Adam Cole's personality than Bobby Fish. And then Bobby Fish, in comparison, just looks like Guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then that's not always bad. Like, that works in the realm of NXT, and I think it works in the realm somewhat for Raw, but it also depends on what they want to do. I think right now they're trying to merge too many eras together. Just pick something and go with it. The Ruthless Aggression era, they were all kind of like, okay, we're getting to the era of good wrestlers, but they all still had personality. Jamie Noble was Trailer Park Trash, and he won the Cruiserweight title and had enough money to have running water. And this was like a theme that he like needed to keep this title because, my God, he's got money now to afford running water and a nice trailer where he can lay his head down and sleep with Nydia. And that works.
Yeah, that's enough of a character for a guy that's not an over-the-top character. Even though what they're doing with Drew right now, like, I don't really like the whole Drew cuts a promo about some Scottish folklore thing, but it's something, Do you think that, by the way, that they're doing the sword thing because they don't want him to carry that sword around when they go touring?
I think that would suck. But I do also think that but Mahal should melt it down.
You beat me to it.
Chain. And make a bike chain out of it. Okay? Like, this is what we're doing.
Oh, yeah, you beat me to it. I was going to say, or do they turn this into The Undertaker urn?
Hell yeah.
We're going to get a Jinder Mustafa Supreme Fighting Machine.
And then whoever wins the King of the Ring tournament will then steal it back from Drew and wear it again. Mabel. Because Mabel.
So yeah, the question from Howard about, do you think that they should kind of go back in some ways and do a little bit more of that? Some of it, but definitely not too crazy. Don't go overboard, but yeah, bring more character involved, because R-Truth, like Peter says in the chat, Truth stole Jamie Noble's gimmick with the 24/7 title in a certain way, like he wants to keep the championship for a reason, kind of a thing. And R-Truth has been one of the most entertaining characters because he's got a character. He's this kind of off the rails, doesn't really know exactly where he is type of guy. Give them characters and let them have some fun, and then it's more fun, you know?
R-Truth and Kofi at this point are the most tenured members in the male roster, are they not?
Would they be?
They both
Randy
debuted
Orton?
in 08. Randy Orton, that's right. How can I forget Randy Orton? But outside of Randy, it's those two. Because everybody else, even you want to say Benjamin or Drew, they left.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley left. Jeff Hardy, of course, wasn't there all this time. John Morrison wasn't there all this time.
I believe it's Orton, Miz, Kofi, and Truth in terms of time.
Yeah, that might be the case. Oh, Sheamus is around that discussion too.
Even Sheamus is a year later.
Huh. You know what's weird to think too? Getting up there would be Titus.
You know what's crazy? Naomi's been on TV for 11 years.
Wow. Hashtag Naomi deserves better.
Hell yeah.
Let's get into Michael's questions. What wrestler gimmick from another era would have thrived in the Thunderdome setting had COVID happened during their run? Ooh, that's a good one. This is one of the questions I didn't read ahead of time.
Kane and Undertaker. They would have played around so much.
I can see the argument for it, but I also think that maybe that you needed the crowd for some of that, because I've been not enjoying this Alexa Bliss stuff on its own. Like, the ability to edit that stuff would be a positive, but then again, they did that already as it was, you know, because they did more of those things that we were just talking about. Like, they had more pre-taped stuff with The Undertaker where they were filming in a graveyard and all. So they still did it. They just didn't have screens.
Because you're cutting down the writers. It's just Vince, Cornette, Bruce, Ross, or Vince, Bruce, Russo, Ferrara. You know, I think they would have really thrived.
This is a weird, I don't know why this popped in my mind. What about Skip and Zip?
I don't know. I mean, maybe. Hey, look at these people. It's pandemic, so they're all home, sitting there getting fat.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Part of me just randomly, they popped in my mind about being like, because think about the beginning of the pandemic. They were just going, hey, Angel Garza and Austin Theory are a tag team now, and you're going to wrestle 3 times a night. Like, Skip and Zip, they probably would have gotten, like,
DiBiase would have thrived.
Majority of, like, the screen time or something, and just, you know, hey, go out there and wrestle, you know, that kind of thing. A lot of that was go out and wrestle and just fill time.
But Owen would have been world champion in Thunderdome.
Man, there's so many different scenarios where I would love to go down where Owen is champion.
I think DiBiase would have thrived. You know, you're sitting there worried about COVID. I'm not worried about a thing because I'm the $1 million man and I'm rich. You're not. Like,
I love it. Man, I don't know. That's kind of tough because the Thunderdome setting, it opens itself up for more of those discussions like the Kanes and Undertakers and all that. I don't know. Maybe they would have actually done something with Hayde Vanson.
That's true.
That whole thing, I don't know what they were doing with that.
I think this is going to sound like I'm being funny, but I'm not. I think Khali would have thrived. You edit Khali, like early Khali, you edit his stuff where he's just chucking people around and beating the shit out of the Undertaker. Would have been good.
Kazarni, maybe. They could have had the Thunderdome be all like circus kind of stuff.
That would have been good. Adam Rose.
Oh, they wouldn't have been able to get all those people together, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All the rosebuds needs to stay 6 feet apart.
It's okay, we can still do it. Everybody, and it's just this long train because everybody's 6 feet apart.
Yeah, they're going down to like another county of Florida. Maybe somebody like a CM Punk could have even done better too, because maybe he could have just been like, "Hey, just give me the mic and I'll talk and I'll fill up a lot of time."
I think he would have done better in that regard, but I don't think he would have. I think the lack of a response would have
That's true. Yeah, no crowd response
killed
for the
him.
matches. Yeah. Peter brings
I
up
think
Deuce
this
and
is the.
Domino.
I think this is the perfect era for Brock. Brock could
And we
have
didn't get
gone
much of
in.
him at all, right?
We didn't get any of them. We got one match.
Yeah, pretty much. And he could have just been like, all right, I'll make one trip. I'll film it in front of like nobody. I'll film all of my things for a couple weeks in
This
one
would have been a
shot.
good era for Brock.
Yeah. And instead he was just like, nah, I'll just drop it. It'll be fine.
It's crazy when you think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's so weird to think about. And I don't think we will, but we might end up getting him back around like SummerSlam or something. And it'd be weird to think that like he just didn't show up during the time where he could have been, knocking out a bunch of recordings in one shot. Because he really, realistically, he could have been a part of like 15 episodes of Monday Night Raw by recording over the course of like 2 days.
Right.
Like he could have just flown in on a Friday and recorded Thunderdome content on Saturday and Sunday. And it could have been like, all right, 1 week you cut a promo, 1 week you have a face-to-face, 1 week you wrestle a match on a pay-per-view, 1 week you cut another promo, 1 week you like that kind of thing. Like, and just, okay, well, we'll cut all these promos, we'll do all the promo stuff, then you'll wrestle the match, then you'll leave. Could have been so much easier.
Would have been good.
Another question here from Michael. Is there a wrestler or two from a different era that you think would have made a great Money in the Bank briefcase holder? Actually, we did a whole thing about that.
We did a whole rundown on that.
That was a Darkcast, wasn't it? Or was that, did we do that on the channel itself?
That was a Darkcast.
So,
suffice to say, though, Shawn Michaels is on that list. The Mountie is not.
Yeah, we did a whole Darkcast about that, so we're not going to answer that question, because if you guys want to check that out, subscribe to the Patreon or go to the members only thing that was up on it's still up on the YouTube page. All you have to do is hit join, and then you'll be able to get access to that once you get to that tier that's on the Darkcast tier and everything. We did do that whole thing. We went through each year from WrestleMania 1 onward and kind of picked our own ideas of who we think would have been a potential good Money in the Bank winner. Like, I know we had like a couple years where we were like, Mr. Perfect would have been great. And I think it was like 3 years that we were like, well, if it wasn't perfect on the 1 year, it could be on the other year, like that kind of thing, So obviously that is a great way to help us out as well. If you donate to the Patreon and you hit the join button on the members only stuff. Another way to do that is hit the applause button. So if you're listening to this right now and you want to give us a little bit of a tip, that's a way to do that. And just because I didn't mention it already, if you don't have the spare change, you want to help us out on another way to just kind of boost this channel, boost the platform, boost the website, the brand itself, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Share it. Leave a comment. Pass things around. Do things on Fanboys Anonymous, because if you help out Fanboys, you help out Smark Out Moment, and vice versa. It's still funneling back to my time and my money and everything that we do with under Mango Tree and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move over to Peter's questions he had sent in ahead of time. We got a Simpsons question here. It looks like if Dr. Hibbert can't laugh, is there any point of using him as a character? The new voice actor's voice is too deep. It's kind of uncomfortable. I've not watched The Simpsons in probably...
Who was doing Dr. Hibbert before?
Hibbert was... Oh, who was it? It wasn't Hank Azaria, I don't think. Hibbert... God, who was playing Hibbert? Let's see. Dr. Hibbert. Maybe it was Hank Azaria. How come I cannot find this information? Maybe it was Harry Shearer, maybe? Okay, Harry Shearer, yeah. And now it's Kevin Michael Richardson. Kevin Michael Richardson's great, but I don't know what his Dr. Hibbert voices. I'll have to kind of check things out, and I'll, maybe do like, maybe somebody's got like a YouTube video up where it's like a comparison of like the new voice actors and stuff, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't checked it out, so I don't know. But if Kevin Michael Richardson can't really do a good Dr. Hibbert, and if he's not doing the laugh, then yeah, that's kind of weird for the character. Because that is kind of like the main trait of the character is his laugh. I don't know.
More reasoning that they should stop the show.
They should have a long time ago. Peter says, voice is fine. I didn't like the laugh. Yeah, I'll check it out. Some kind of like comparison thing, because they probably would have recast Apu by now, right?
They did. Well, didn't they just stop Apu?
Maybe they did. Maybe they just did that.
Because Apu came before they had made the declaration that only POC actors are going to do POC characters. I don't know.
It's another discussion for another day. I don't think that that's how you should go about doing things, because I think that then you start getting into the whole like, well, are you going to cast a blonde to play Mary Jane Watson? Only people who are redheads should be able to play redheads. You know what I mean? Like, and then you're not acting anymore to a certain point. Then you go, well, only people who have been in the military should be able to play combat veterans, because then they don't know how it's like to be. And it's like, come on, like it's all acting. It's supposed to be acting. Like
specifically, okay, so like was it Scarlett Johansson that said the thing about I should be able to play Harriet Tubman?
I don't remember who it was. Like, and there's certain
like that.
Like,
that
tact.
One's a little weird.
Yeah, like I wouldn't do any scenario of like blackface like they used to, because that's just like okay, that's bad, like.
But like voice acting, right?
Right.
The whole point is
it's cartoon.
You're a voice actor.
Yeah. Like we grew up with Kevin Conroy as Batman. I didn't know what Kevin Conroy looked like until like 2000 something. And it didn't matter to me, because that was like, oh, it's his voice. I don't care whatsoever who voices, well, I'll bring up Kevin Michael Richardson. He has been in 1,000 things. And as far as I'm concerned, Kevin Michael Richardson can voice Batman. He can voice Scooby-Doo. He can voice The Flash.
He's done the Joker, right?
Yeah, he did Joker for the Batman. And
that's a good.
It wasn't like, oh, this guy is overweight and doesn't look anything like the Joker character. It's like, no, he's got a good enough voice for the Joker. He's not Mark Hamill, but that's just personal preference. Mark Hamill couldn't play the Joker right now either. He's too old for it. But you give him the chance to voice the character. Fuck yeah, like it's kind of voice acting. I think is such a different thing. And again, of course, we could dive into this deeper on like Fanboys or something. But I still think it's weird that we don't have an Oscar for it.
Because we really should.
I think that you need an Oscar for best, like, I guess you could constitute it something like simulated performance, or like non-live action performance or something like that, where it's like you do the stop motion kind of stuff, you do the voiceover work, maybe even do both. Maybe have like the stunt work kind of thing, and the best team for creating a character and bringing it to life. And then you got like the voice acting as a separate thing or something. I don't know.
But above all else, The Simpsons was a product of its time. It needs to go. And that's not even against The Simpsons. That's more so than anything against Fox or whomever the decision makers are that are like, you know what? This is, we're going to bleed this thing till it's dry. And they're like, just stop that.
Yeah, they're trying to get blood from a stone. Because, I mean, from what I have seen of The Simpsons from the past 10 years or so, they're just like, well, why don't we just redo that other story that we did before, but just not funny anymore? Like, okay, Homer gets a job doing whatever. Okay, yeah, I get it. Peter does have another Simpsons question, though. It says, The Simpsons predicted Netflix bought Yale, Blockbuster's back, Google University, 4 more Ghostbusters, Mom Translator, U.S. government brought to you by Walt Disney. Which one do you think is true, if any? I guess let's go one by one here. Netflix buying Yale. I don't think so.
Google University, I do.
Google University is going to be a thing. Guaranteed. 100%. They're even talking about it. Like, it's not calling it Google University, but I read something recently that said, like, Google is creating some kind of a college where, like, or maybe it was Amazon. No, I think it was Google, where instead of going to college for like 4 years and earning a degree and then being like, okay, now I need to try to get a job and I have no experience, it's more, if you go through a short course, then you get a certification. And then you're like,
So that's what I did, right? Like, I originally was going to Full Sail University for graphic design. I was going to end up going for entertainment business, and I just decided, no, I won't do it because the tuition was crazy. I ended up getting a certificate for free from Full Sail because they were like, your grades were good, here, do this free certificate program. I mean, obviously things worked out differently for me, but that, I think, is a much better method than everybody plunges themselves into student debt, and everybody knows, like, it's kind of like wrestling. We know it's a fucking scam. It's a scam, and everybody knows it.
It entirely is a scam, and for so many different reasons too. And you can go into, surface level stuff, like why do you have to buy the book that you're not going to use for the class just because they get a kickback on the book? And then you can get into deeper things like my degree is technically called secondary education, which means that
you can teach middle school?
I could teach middle school and high school. And I went with the intention of being an English teacher. And I needed for some reason, to take a physics class, a biology class, a gym, a phys ed in college. And when I first went and they were telling me, like, this is the syllabus and this is the course schedule and this is whatever, I was like, wait a minute, why do I have to take a phys ed? And they're like, well, it's part of your requirements. And I was like, yeah, I just went through 13 years of school, because kindergarten and then 12 years of grade school. I'm like, I didn't need a phys ed course in high school because I knew I was not going to be, a volleyball player. And they're like, well, it's just whatever. And I'm like, so you mean to tell me to be able to teach English, you want me to take tennis or bowling? And they're like, yeah. I had to argue. This is how weird I am and how weird universities are. I had to argue with both the English department, because they kind of combined like the English and the teaching departments and stuff. It's being like, I guess, like, if you're into that, you'll probably teach, which I was like, that's kind of the fucking point. I had to argue with them and the phys ed people and the guidance counselor people for them to approve on 2 separate occasions. I'll explain why. That I should be able to take the course of how to teach gym classes and have that count as my phys ed course. Because they were like, you should probably just take something like tennis or bowling. And I was like, wouldn't it make more sense for me to go learn teaching methods in a course that's about teaching for my teaching degree? And they were like, I guess so. And I did that my first semester. And when I went to graduate, they said, well, that doesn't really count. You should have taken something like tennis. And I was like, that is bullshit. We already went through this. And I needed to argue. I didn't get my diploma for 2 months after I should have, because they were caught up in this whole like debate about that. And eventually I talked to somebody who was in the English department, and I was just like, yo, I already had that teacher for a sociology class. And I was like, hey, can you just tell them that this is fucking stupid? And he was like, yeah, this is dumb. All right, I'm signing off on it. And I'm like, thank you, because like what? So I took maybe 2 whole semesters worth of completely pointless classes because I needed I think 3 history classes, like a history of Western civilization. I needed like 2 math things. And I'm like, I'm not teaching math. Why do I need to take math classes? Oh, they need you to be well-rounded. Oh, like I did in high school.
But you know why, right?
Because that gave them extra semesters of my money.
And not only that, but it's further backup for the bullshit that if let's say they need a spare math teacher, oh well, Tony technically has the qualifications to, he's well rounded enough that he can teach math for a year until we find a permanent math teacher.
And I'm like in the probability and statistics class, and I'm just sort of like, yeah, I honestly don't care about this because I had a whole pitch to them too because I'm the type of guy that says these kind of things where I go to like the the guidance department and I'm like, look, I took 10 minutes and I wrote out a whole new course schedule for you people. And it's like, yeah, the oral communications class makes sense because you gotta, talk in front of students. Yeah, if you're teaching, you should learn how to give speeches and whatever, but maybe you shouldn't have to take a phys ed class for whatever. I don't know. So Google University, that's basically what we're getting into on this pro wrestling mailbag. Yeah, Google University, The Simpsons, I think they've got that right.
I think they've got that right. The government brought to you by Walt Disney is silly.
Government brought to you by Walt Disney's not happening. Ghostbusters, 4 more of those. One of them apparently was revolving around a cast of gay actors, I guess. They tried to do the one with the whole recasting for the women. And
they did the all women.
And that tanked.
And I think it's just, by the way, all the actresses, hella talented, fantastic. I think it just tanked because it wasn't good.
And it was completely unnecessary. You just don't need to do, like, well, why don't we do this movie but blank? Like,
that is a topic that I could get into on another platform entirely, maybe if you ever bring back the All Talk show. But you cannot take one facet of one's personality and go, this is your entire being.
Right.
You cannot say, Tony Mango, you're Italian. That is your entire being. Yeah. If you ever eat anything that isn't considered Italian, you are a liar in life. Like, you can't do that. Like,
and you just don't need to do, hey, why don't we make Transformers? But if Transformers were, I don't know, like instead of being robots, they were, I was going to say instead of being robots, they were animals. Look at that, Beast Wars is coming out. Totally forgot that that's what they do with that. But, like, hey, why don't we do the Justice League? But they're evil. Okay, it's fine for one story, but you can't make a whole series out of it.
Although, Injustice, the movie, is going to be very good.
That'll be fun, yeah. It's one shot. It's not like a mainstream movie type of scenario.
And you can't just go, let's do the Justice League, but take out Superman, take out Batman.
Yeah.
Let's just have all women. And then you go, well, that's a different group entirely. They go, yeah, but we're going to use the established name of the Justice League because you understand what that is.
Yeah, so I don't think that we're getting those Ghostbusters things, but we are getting that third Ghostbusters, which looks like it could be kind of fun. If you're curious, go to fanboysanonymous.com and you can check out one of the it might have been my first post, actually. I don't think it was. I think that the news of Star Wars Episode 7 coming out was the first post on Fanboys, but one of the very first posts, at the very least, is my pitch for what should Ghostbusters 3 be. and it revolves around Topher Grace should be cast as the son of Sigourney Weaver and Bill Murray. And there should be, I think I had fan cast the guy from Slumdog Millionaire. What was his name?
It escapes me.
I'm blanking on his name, whatever he goes. I think I had fan cast him as like the understudy of Egon, for instance, and Emma Stone as the tough one of the group, and the daughter of the mayor's assistant in the first movie, and different things. So if you're interested in my Ghostbusters pitch, it's up on there, and my pitch has not changed over the years, pretty much.
Topher Grace is great, and Topher Grace, I think, should be in more films.
Yeah, he should have been a bigger star. We got a message in the chat room for Huerta. I'm only popping in for a minute at work. Thank you for popping in. But my question is, not sure if you asked this before, but what is the last thing you did for the last time, and what is the last thing you did for the first time? Ooh. What is the last thing you did for the last time? Huh. That is tough. The last thing I did for the last time. I can think of plenty of things that I did for the last time, but
it's hard because it's hard to like intentionally say, okay, this is the last time.
I wore a pair of shoes 3 days ago that I then threw out. There you go.
How long do you have the shoes?
I've had them for probably over 10 years. They were kind of like my crud shoes. It was like, all right, those shoes are old, and I'll only use them when I'm like doing like yard work or something. And I had reached a point where I'm like, hey, I also have other old shoes and I have other new shoes. So maybe I don't need the crud shoes to be as bad anymore. Maybe one of the older shoes can now downgrade, and then those can just get tossed. So yeah, I tossed out a pair of shoes. So that was the last time that I wore those for the last time.
So it's weird because most times you don't know you're doing something for the last time until years later, and you go, wow, that was the last time I did that. But I can tell you that I think the most recent first time thing I did was probably when we did the Bond podcast, and I was like, that was like the first time I was really becoming invested in the Bond franchise, and like I watched Dr. No and really getting invested into this like franchise that you just think everybody's seen, you know. But the last time, yeah, it's really hard because there's been plenty of times where I've been like, and this is the last soda I'll have, and then 2 seconds later, no, like
just kinda...
like, it's just, yeah.
Last thing I did for the first time. I mean, I'm like part thing with the shoes. I'm rearranging a bunch of stuff in my home, and I guess the last thing I did for the first time was set up a standing closet. That's a boring answer, but
it's interesting. Like one day soon, you'll be moving out, and that's your childhood home.
Shit,
it's like that. That would be a huge moment.
In a couple months, I'll be able to say this is the last day I'm not married.
Not married, yeah.
That's gonna be insane. Like, you know, the day before Halloween, I'm gonna be like, all right, well, this is my last day as a quote unquote single, even though I'm not single because obviously I've had a fiance and everything, you know. From that point on, I won't be putting single on forums. I'll be writing married. And a lot of people would be like, "Oh my god, that drives me nuts." I'm like, "No, that's kind of the whole point. Like, I proposed because I wanted that, so I don't see the reason to be like, who fucking you don't." It's not how it works.
I'll say this:
you know?
hopefully, within the last couple of weeks, I've used my last dating app. God, these things are miserable. Like,
Peter says, last time I edit 3 songs in a day. I don't know. You might in the future have to edit 5 songs.
Yeah, you never know.
And the Skyfall review is the first video on the Fanboys channel. That's right.
I said we just did that. Nope, that's a different thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and check out that Skyfall review because it might be interesting to go back and see if my opinions have changed. And maybe not necessarily. I don't know, but
it's a great movie.
So,
spoiler.
Oh wait, we got Ben says if that drives you nuts, then Caroline should be scared. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole.
Imagine that. That's logical.
Yeah.
Good job, Ben.
Another question from Peter here. When did you realize the Big Show's initials are TBS, the channel he came from? Right now.
Right now.
When's the last time that I did something for the first time? This is the last time that I just did something for the first time of realizing that. There you go. TBS, the Big Show. That's funny. Another question. Do you think Carlito should come back to spit in the face of uncool with Alexa Bliss?
That's hot.
I love wordplay. Moving on here. Do you think that WWE should pay less on their Legends contracts to release superstars? Why are guys like David Otunga, Jonathan Coachman, and Paige still employed by WWE? At least furlough them. That's a good question because you don't want them to by any means. Because it's like, well, a lot of them, hey, they're paying Sergeant Slaughter on a Legends contract. He's making a little bit of money. He's not going to wrestle anymore. That's a way to still make an income. But it does kind of bring up the question. If they are paying however much they're paying, if they're worried about how much they're paying people, maybe Legends contracts? I'll preface it with this. WWE keeps reporting that they're making record profits. They shouldn't be firing anybody. So, but if they were really stretching their budget, like if we're talking like 90 something where they're like, oh crap, we might go out of business, then I don't think that Legend contracts should be a thing at that point.
So you know what though? Recently, WWE has settled a few cases with their investors, equaling out to $39 million settlements. And maybe that's why it's budget cuts.
Well, how do you think about something like Paige still being paid and not doing anything?
I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess, but there has to be a reason. And the Otunga thing is just more strange than Paige, because Paige got injured. As best we know, nothing ever happened to Otunga. But Paige got injured and just couldn't do it. The fact that Otunga is still on the active roster list in any capacity is wild to me.
Yeah, that completely took me by surprise when you mentioned that and we looked it up because he has not even been on like a pre-show panel in something like 2 years or so. Yeah. Like he wasn't in there before the pandemic. So you can't even be like, he doesn't want to pop up for the pandemic. He just wasn't. Like the pre-show was pretty much either Renee or Charlie or Kayla with Booker T, Jerry Lawler, and either JBL or Sam Roberts or Peter Rosenberg or Jonathan Coachman or Ric Flair or, you know what I mean? Like, it was not David Otunga, but he's still getting paid. Maybe he's a part of the legal team.
That'd be amazing. He looks phenomenal. And I'm still of the opinion that I cannot believe that he wasn't like the winner of the first season of NXT. Because he used to do the thing, man, where he was like, Google me. And I was, you know what? That's amazing. Because at the time, people weren't really saying things like that. And yeah, I really enjoyed that.
He was the first to call himself the A-lister, right?
Yeah.
A-list David Otunga, I think was his name.
I remember, and this will sound so much fun. It's so funny. Remember when they were doing SummerSlam in LA? And I was like, this is like an every year. Every year they're doing SummerSlam in LA. And I'm like, oh my God. One day, Otunga versus Miz in LA will be a huge WWE Championship event. And it's like, you look back at that now and you go, what a stupid thing to say. But
But it could have made sense, you know?
It seemed possible.
Yeah. Ben says, the last time I decided to have any patience with customers today, I served an idiot who put an 85 pound blazer on an 8-pound sail rail and couldn't understand why I wouldn't sell it for 8 pounds. Yeah, what the hell? You don't just go like, oh, it's on that rack. No. Well,
That's
the
amazing.
tag says otherwise, idiot. You know, like, well, you know, some people are trying to save money, and you can't kind of blame the guy for trying to save a little bit of money. But if you want to save a little bit of money on something, like on our sponsor, Manscaped, then you've got a great deal going on right now, because you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code SMARK over at manscaped.com. You can pick up any of their products, and that can apply. So if you're feeling the summer heat and you're getting that swampy feeling and you want to help out those balls, make them feel a little bit better, you got ball toner, you got ball deodorant, you got the ability to use the Lawnmower 4.0, trim up the weeds down below, make sure that you're, you know, you get, the more hair you get, the hotter it's going to be. So it's going to be more pain in the ass down there. Not really a pain in the ass, different spot of your body, but you know what I mean? You want to use it for that, it's a different story. But you got the weed whacker, you know, I got people trimming my lawn the other day. Not the same kind of deal, but... Not paying people for that.
I was going to have questions, but you don't need to pay people for that because you have Manscaped.
That's right. I do have those products. I've tried out almost every single one of their products, and every one of them that I have tried, I have been a fan of. So we can give you the thumbs up on that stuff. Ben, this is a little bit of money. That's $73 cheaper. You know, if you want to take advantage of this free shipping and this 20% off, you can do that all throughout this month. So, you know, you can order yourself the shear kit, something that, you know, take advantage of that. Clip up your nails a little bit. You know, I'm somebody who bites their nails, so I can't use that. I have no nails.
The shear kit is great. I think the nail clipper that comes with it is one of the best I've ever used. It's got a very unique setup to where it kind of springs to where it makes the actual clipping of the nail easier. And I enjoy the shear kit maybe the most because it gets used most frequently. But the Weed Whacker is great. Best nose hair trimmer I've ever used. And obviously, the lawnmower, we've talked about it a lot. It's a fantastic deal.
Yeah, and these performance package deals and the different kind of box, I was going to say box sets, it's not like it's a DVD, but you know, the combo packages and everything like that, they're great gifts as well. So if you have somebody who's like got a birthday coming up or something, you want to pick them up something like this, it's a great way to just be like, look, here you go, clean yourself up, you smelly bastard. Ben also says this in the chat. My favorite part of these ads is how hard Tony tries to not make himself sound like a cam girl advertising sex toys. Well, our other sponsors, no, just kidding. I had to turn down a deal in the past about a sex toy deal because I didn't know how I was going to get around that one. Somebody really honestly in the past wanted me to advertise on Fanboys some Avengers themed sex toys. So
I have questions, and boy, that would have been.
This is the type of thing that proves I am only going to do sponsorships with things that I actually believe in. And the reason why I keep mentioning the Manscaped stuff is because I do have the seal of approval that I can give to them. So if you are interested in picking up something on manscaped.com, head on over there, pick up something with that promo code SMARK, get your free shipping, get your 20% off. Your balls are going to thank you, and we thank you as well.
Damn right.
Back to the mailbag. Actually, Peter's got a question in the chat. Rob, is this what you want for your birthday? I guess it's the Avengers theme.
No. No, not at all, sir.
You mean you don't want the Hulk? Yeah, it was an awkward email exchange where I was just kind of like, like, I don't know how to do that and whatever. To be perfectly honest, I did ask how much are you going to pay me. You know, some people don't believe in God. Tony doesn't believe in Avenger-themed sex toys. If that's what comes down from the heavens, well, then my prayers have not been answered. I'll say that.
I mean, I don't think Tony says he doesn't believe in Avenger-themed sex toys. He just can't figure out a way for him to sell them.
I am the agnostic equivalent of not the atheist equivalent of that. Oh man, mailbags are fun. I love mailbags. Why do you think, or who do you think the new Colognes will be sitting in catering doing nothing? My original pick was Lindsay Dorado. Then I remember David Otunga was deployed. This is from Peter. The ones sitting around and catering, not doing anything. At least when they're touring.
They're releasing so many.
Yeah, that's the tough thing because they are getting rid of most. Because you couldn't even say like, oh man, like the Bollywood boys might not be. Oh, they're gone. Oh, there's not going to be too much of a spot for like a Riddick Moss. He hasn't even shown up in God knows how long.
Yeah, I think he's still injured. If Paul Heyman has a hand in anything, I think Riddick Moss could be okay. There was that report that many people were high up on him when Heyman was running Raw, so hopefully he has some friends backstage.
I think Humberto Carrillo is going to go back to that spot.
They're going to wake up one day and they're going to be like, this dude is jacked. We need to use him for something. Let's put him on TV.
Well, no, kind of what they're doing now.
Well, not with Carrillo.
Well, he's got the United States title match next week.
Well, they're just finally paying that off.
And Ricochet's not even a part of it because he's got another feud in the meantime.
Remember, Mansoor was a part of it. He's got another feud. He's not even a part of it.
I don't even remember him being a part of it, actually.
He debuted and had a match with Sheamus, and then Carrillo disqualified him. It was like 3 weeks ago, Tony. It wasn't that long ago.
3 weeks for me has been a lifetime. I woke up today going, oh man, it's Saturday. I forgot to do all that work. And then I was like, wait, I don't know what I'm doing on Saturday. And then I was like, wait, no, it's not Saturday. And then I went, oh fuck, it's still way past the point that I wanted to wake up. So it happens when you don't sleep for 4 days and then you take Benadryl and it kicks in. You end up having dreams that you're Bill Murray and legit had a dream last night that was about Ghostbusters, that I went to go see, that they were doing a showing, like a screening of Ghostbusters at the location that they had filmed, like the firehouse, and that I was like trying to figure out a seat, and that turned into this whole like separate other kind of dream. But during part of the dream, I was just Bill Murray. So like, brains, they're interesting.
That's amazing.
I think that we might end up going back to not having a whole lot of room for somebody like a Carrillo, though. And I don't know, I guess the way that this draft plays out, too, is going to be interesting because they might take some people that we've been seeing and they might kind of push them back to the end of the line again.
Yeah, and you never really know. I hope that people get used. Because honestly, the one flaw in all of this pandemic era, I think it's ridiculous that more people did not seize the opportunity or did not get a chance to seize the opportunity and really shake up the game. Because it's not like AEW where you go, well, Brody's whole run. Well, all this. It's like, what have they really done in the pandemic era that's going to carry over and break new ground when they return to fans? Roman being a heel and Lashley going from dumping Lana to winning the title. That's it, though.
Yeah, that was still the beginning of the pandemic, wasn't it? Yeah. Ugh, terrible storyline.
Yeah, Aleister Black, Bobby Lashley.
Aleister Black.
Oh, by the way, did you see he's got a new name? He apparently has a new name. He did a promo where he now has dubbed himself Malachi Blacks.
Blacks? Like
Blacks, like Blacks.
why did he add an S to it?
I don't know. I don't know anything why this is happening. Tommy End is such a fine name.
Malachi Black. I mean Malachi, of course, you know why that's Malachi, but Blacks. Malachi Blacks.
Malachi Blacks.
I don't know. Why didn't you just go with Malachi Black? I don't know. Yeah, should have just gone with Tommy End. Would have been a lot easier. I guess maybe he just doesn't want to. I don't know.
Yeah,
Ruby Riott doesn't want to be Heidi Lovelace, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, another question from Peter here. With all the releases from 2020 and 2021, who do you think would be a good producer or trainer? I feel Breeze. And who do you think and want to... who do you think and want to back a Drew McIntyre comeback? I feel Breeze, producer, Matt Cardona, and Chelsea Green comeback. Oh, so who could make like a Drew
comeback?
Yeah. So producer, trainer, and a comeback. Pick one of each. His suggestion of Tyler Breeze as a producer. I think Tyler Breeze.
Be a producer.
I think Breeze as either a producer or a trainer or a comeback could work, but I don't know if he'd be my first option for any of those roles. Let me bring up the list of releases, actually.
He would be my first option for either producer or trainer, whatever they need more at the time. Also in the training capacity, Mickie James. I don't understand how you let go of Mickie James.
Yeah, I don't get the Mickie James thing.
I will never understand how you let go of Mickie James.
Let's see. So looking at this list, if I'm sticking to just 2021 because I didn't bring up my 2020 list, I think, well, Joe's back already, so that's good. Yeah, Tyler Breeze actually might be one of the best options for any of these roles. But if I'm going to go somebody else just to be different, a producer type, I could have seen Big Show being a really good producer.
You'd think he's been there forever, and he's got the rub of like, I was in the run with Austin and Rock and Hogan. Like, people forget Big Show was one of those guys, man. Kind of like Taker. He's in the run with everybody when they were still kind of good. You know?
Same thing with Christian. I think that he could be a great producer.
As far as like a Drew style comeback, Rusev.
Rusev's a possibility for that. My first thought was, looking on this list, was Tony Nese, but I don't think as much.
Maybe like...
Is it too much of an easy pick to say Braun Strowman?
Yes, because I think at the latest, Braun Strowman will be back by the Royal Rumble.
I do think Braun Strowman's going to end up coming back. Yeah. I don't know if I'd go that quick, but I do think that they're going to end up having some discussions at some point. He's going to end up coming back. So I'd like to see him come back and be like, all right, he's the monster that he should have been, and he wins another world championship or something.
Dude, he beat Goldberg. I don't care what circumstances. I don't care if it was in front of nobody. He holds the victory over Goldberg. How do you let that go in, 16, 17 months?
Buddy Murphy's another option.
If he does really well in the Indies, I could see it.
Yeah. Trainer-wise, I mean, that could be a spot for like a Tony Nese, but I think that he's just got more of a run in him that he shouldn't go to being a trainer yet. Maybe an Arya Daivari for trainer?
No, I want to see these guys wrestle. Like I know Breeze is already saying like he's kind of thinking about not wrestling.
Oh, really?
Like he's not sure if he's gonna continue wrestling. And it's like, which I'm sure he'll continue in the industry because he is a trainer. But still, it's scary.
I think Ruby Riott, if she wasn't somebody who, again, should just have like another couple, years and on a different roster and everything, I think that she could potentially be a good trainer.
Right.
We already talked about Mickey. Mickey could be a producer and a trainer and a comeback.
Mickey should be in the Money in the Bank.
Yeah, she's just
Mickey
great.
should be challenging Bianca Belair for the title. Mickey should be challenging Rhea Ripley for the title. Dude, Mickey James should not have been released.
Yeah. Just fundamentally should not have been released. Let's see. Ben says in the chat, which of the 4 horsewomen do you think will be the first and the last to leave WWE?
Wait, did we do this? I feel like we did this, even if it was accidental. We just talked about.
I don't remember doing one of those.
We were saying like Bayley would be a lifer. Oh, it was the Money in the Bank discussion, where I feel like we were saying like Bayley's going to be a lifer. I can see Sasha. You said you could see Sasha leaving first.
Yeah, I think Sasha could leave because she has done The Mandalorian. If she's reached that point where she's like, I've done everything in wrestling, let me just branch out, I think that she could leave. She all thought about leaving before. I mean, she was, going through. Yeah, she was going through all those, backstage battles and everything, and I think that's Peter says in the 10-year review. We were talking about that. That's what it was.
There we go. Thank you, Peter.
So I do think that Sasha could be the first to leave, if not Becky, because Becky's got a kid. So Becky might just be like, I mean, Becky could come on the tour and within a couple months be like, look, I don't want to be away from my kid. I fucking hate it. And then she could be, by this time next year, it could be like, all right, Becky's done. She decides that she wants to just sit out her contract or end it ahead of time and just not do it. Charlotte, I don't think is going to be stopping anytime soon. And Bayley, I think that we kind of all agreed it makes sense if she sticks around and she ends up being like the new Sarah Amato type and everything.
The scary thing to me is that the 4 horsewomen, and even in a lot of ways the Shield, or like the guys from the Shield, really, the Roman Reigns, for example, like I don't look at them and think, oh, they're the past. I think they're the now and the future. But in reality, like Rollins won Money in the Bank 7 years ago. Roman Reigns has been in the main event scene as a single for 7 years.
Yeah, I don't think of them as the future anymore. I think of them as the now heading towards the then. Like I look at like a Roman Reigns at this point in his career as Bret Hart in '96.
That's insane, because I think Roman is just getting started.
Right. Well, they should have done this story, 4 or 5 years ago.
And maybe that's what it is. I just don't like it. Like I think we haven't even scratched the surface yet, and we're just already writing these people off. Like the 4 horsewomen. It does not seem like it's been that long since the women's evolution even kicked off. And now you have people saying, we need another one. It's wild.
Ben says, Roman, Rollins, and the horsewomen are the pinnacle of WWE. There's nobody that's debuted since then that touches them. I wouldn't call them the pinnacle, but...
They're the pinnacle of the now. Tony, they're the pinnacle of the now.
No, MJF and them are the pinnacle of now.
Well, in WWE, Tony. Stop it. Stop it.
Come on, it's phrasing of the pinnacle. I had to do it.
It's low-hanging fruit, and I appreciate you. But they really are. Like, let's really think about this, because they're the only people who have come up and really taken over the scene.
Yeah, they're the only ones that actually achieved that level in years.
Like Rollins, you look at Rollins. Rollins came around in a time where, like, Del Rio and Punk were still regularly big stars, There are just matches between Batista and Rollins on like random episodes of SmackDown. Like Rollins came around at a good time. The 4 horsewomen, Charlotte had a legit feud with the Bellas.
Yeah.
They've all been in the ring with Alicia Fox.
Alicia Fox.
Like, it's crazy. It's kind of like that thing I was saying about Naomi, 11 years.
Yeah.
Wild.
I go back to another question here. You talked about the future and superstars of the future in 10 years. I kept on saying that you have to talk about this one person who never got mentioned. How do you think a 24-year-old Izzy plays into the future?
She is at the very least hosting the bump.
You know, that girl has gone from a girl ringside that is super into Bailey to a confident young woman who is kind of taking charge of like, hey guys, I'm going to announce that the NXT Breakout Tournament is coming out. It's like, fucking good for you, dude. Like,
did she? Okay, so for context.
Yeah, she put out a tweet about that. I heard about it from the Izzy thing. I don't even follow, I don't follow any Twitter accounts, really. I mean, I technically follow them, but, I don't really click on Twitter unless I get messages or if I get, some kind of thing that let me check to see what's trending and everything. But, yeah, I had first come across this through the whole thing with Izzy. Another, I forget which, if somebody tweeted me at or websites or whatever, I don't know, something that was like, hey, Izzy broke the news kind of thing.
That's awesome. I hope that in 10 years, she's at the very least, if not a champion in WWE, if not wrestling Bailey at WrestleMania for a title,
right.
I hope that she's at least a broadcaster.
Yeah, I don't know what her real aspirations are as far as if she wants to get into potentially either of them more than the other.
She was doing wrestling.
She actually is, training and stuff?
Fest Wrestling here in Florida, made her a champion. And it only became an issue because people were like, are you seriously having a kid take choke slams? And fair point.
Yeah.
But she ended up doing some training at the Monster Factory right around you. Huh. And I think that she's taken some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and she's focusing on the broadcast aspect, because obviously that's what a kid can do right now.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if she's doing anything. And I wouldn't be surprised if, in 10 years, we finally get that WWE Kids, as a hidden gem. Hey, we filmed this with Izzy. That never got released. Now Izzy's winning the Royal Rumble. I can see it.
I could see that being, on the WWE Network that's hosted on somewhere other than Peacock, probably. Well, when we do the whole, everything's combined and it's just a different service. Yeah. Blockbuster's returned, that thing. I would say stay vigilant on keeping track of Izzy, because, I mean...
for Izzy.
That girl's working,
She deserves it. She's working hard.
Why does WWE count Charlotte's NXT and tag team titles in her 13? Do they count the tag team?
I think they at least count the NXT.
Because they definitely shouldn't count the tag team titles as a championship the same way. But they do count the NXT ones, it seems.
All right, you want some breaking news?
Oh, don't tell me that they're firing people.
No, they're not.
Because it's a mailbag. Don't tell me
that. I'm sorry. No, they're not.
My heart just sank.
But Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, great service. I would actually implore you all to subscribe to his Patreon. I think the $5 a month is very worth it for the in-depth analysis he provides in viewership. WWE Raw on Monday was watched by 1,472,000 people, a new all-time low for the show that debuted in '93.
Not good.
Do you think, and I'm sure things will pick up soon,
that they should hire me?
But do you think that they get underneath 1 million?
They could, because there's going to be more competition somewhere down the line. I mean, when's the Olympics?
Soon.
Because that's going to be every day, right?
Yep.
I don't remember how the Olympics really works, but
I do believe it will be for a while. That's crazy, man.
I'll do what I do with the Olympics every year. I watch the opening ceremony if I remember that it's happening, and I go, Christ, this is going on a long time. And then eventually, in the middle of the night, I'll click on the TV. Actually, this isn't even the case that it was anymore because I never really watched TV. I only like watch things after they're recorded and all that. And then I'll end up catching like fencing or like some weird like this is the men's pole
Curling.
vaulting whatever third round where they also have to drink raw eggs. And I'll be like, what the fuck this like whatever happened to I don't know, the normal stuff. And then that's all I'll do. But other people absolutely love the Olympics and they'll watch everything from, the curling type stuff to, the sprint things. They'll watch the gymnastics. They'll watch that thing with the fucking ribbon. I never understood how that's a thing. Somebody just bounces around and they've got a ribbon. It looks like a little kid playing in the backyard and you're like, oh, Olympic score or whatever. I'm like, what? You gave them a string and they... So once the Olympics pops up, if that's going to be airing opposite of Monday Night Raw, it's going to hurt them. They could be at 900.
I think they'll actually like red alert. Let's call in somebody. Hey, Rock, can you work a match on Monday? Call in Hunter. Like, hey, can you let's kick off this retirement tour thing. Let's have you work every Raw until you retire.
If they get around that point, they're going to panic and they're going to do something. Because if you're USA, you're going to say, like, what the hell, guys? And then they'll go, well, we fired a lot of people. And they'll go, well, we don't give a shit. That doesn't help us.
They have to please too many masters.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, we got a super chat from Grimshot. Thank you, Grimshot. Just logged on. How much did I miss? Did anyone get fired?
No, nobody got fired.
Thankfully, that hasn't happened this time around. You missed us setting up some of the qualifying round of the tournament that we're doing and all sorts of different questions. We've ranged from Ghostbusters to when's the last time that you did something for the last time? And I went on a spiel about college being a waste of fucking money.
Yeah, so just a typical mailbag, a lot of oversharing probably. But
yeah, probably.
Here we are.
The whole point is to pick our brains. So, we give you some pliers and you pick them. Who do you think are NXT lifers?
The ones that have yet to leave NXT. Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. They need to leave NXT.
I don't know if I want them to be NXT. I know that I don't want them to be NXT lifers. I don't know if I would picture that they will be, but I do think that there are certain people that they won't end up moving up to the main roster, whether it's their choice or it's just like the timing didn't work out well, or because look at all the people that got released recently. Like Everrise never came up to the main roster.
Yeah.
So
Here's
some
a
people
great tweet from one of the best people I've ever worked with, Jeremy Lambert. Raw is now doing Dynamite debut numbers. Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty disturbing.
NXT lifers. I'm looking at the roster right now. If there's like on the current roster, NXT lifer types. I did mention that I think that Aaliyah could be coming up to the main roster now, but if she doesn't, then she might end up just sticking around. We can't really constitute Brian Kendrick because he's been on the main roster. It's weird because mostly with NXT, you either come up to Raw or SmackDown or you get released. So how much do you constitute necessarily like a lifer?
I'll say this. Gargano's been in NXT. When Gargano was in NXT, I wasn't even doing these podcasts. I wasn't I was a completely different time in my life. I was living in Hawaii, which was like 7 years ago, or 6-7 years ago. So Gargano's been there a while. Like Gargano should have been called up by normal standards at least 3 years ago.
I don't think, for instance, like Jessie Kamea, I don't think that she might come up to the main roster. I like her, but she's been there a while, and she could probably end up being the type that only stays in NXT.
I like her too, but
I don't want to sound like this is a negative against him, because I don't think that it. I don't think Kushida will end up coming up to the main roster.
I'm all right with that.
I think that Kushida's the type of guy that like Triple H sees value in, but he would be the one that would be like, all right, look, you're going to get lost in the shuffle on Raw or SmackDown. Let me keep Kushida because you guys are going to screw him up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And do you blame him?
No, I don't blame him at all, because it's true if that's the case.
I think I pitched it earlier. I think that's the same thing that's happened with Io, where it's just like, you're not going to do anything with her. Let me keep her.
Could happen with Roderick Strong, but I hope not. I want Strong on the main roster.
Yeah. Adam Cole needs to crap or get off the pot, because it's coming to the point where it's like, either give him the belt again or move him up.
What do you think about Kyle O'Reilly?
He's a different story.
So I think he might be an NXT lifer.
He could be, but he hasn't had the run with the title. He still feels kind of fresh.
The more I think about it, the more I think Kyle O'Reilly might be. Maybe they do move up like Johnny Gargano pretty soon or something. And Kyle O'Reilly could be the guy that they go like, look, you're going to be that great in-ring performer and the guy that the fans get really behind. And he's been showing a lot more personality. So he could be like filling in the Gargano spot in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And I think he'll be good. I think NXT needs an overhaul.
We just got a message from Callum. Guys, this is petrifying. You're so lucky you don't care about real sports.
Yeah, England is playing. I have been looking. They are at 1-1 with Denmark. It should be coming home. I've been told it's coming home. You know, I'm super invested in this, because it's like, these people are so excited for England to win this thing. And I looked it up. They've never won. They got to win. It's a great babyface story. I'm rooting for England.
Yeah, I also have another super chat from Grim. He says, the last time I made a super chat was a waste of time.
Amazing.
Thank you again, Grim, for that. We only have one more question that was submitted in advance. So, and we are at an hour and 52, so we might end up wrapping this up in a few minutes. That last question that was sent in prior to this was, do you think over the last few years WWE isn't as iconic as it once was? Well, they lost the Iconics.
That's right where I was going.
But yeah, I don't feel like WWE feels like it's a thing as much as it even was a couple years ago. Like, just,
this is the discussion for Kenise Mobley's firing and hiring. She openly discussed how my mom will be really happy about this one because it's WWE and everybody knows it, but also it's WWE and it's kind of dumb. And I think that's right where WWE exists. They are a legacy brand where even if you don't, like, let's just compare it to Nickelodeon. If you don't watch Nickelodeon, SpongeBob will pop on and you'll go, that's an iconic character. Even if you have no idea who is currently WWE champion, you go.
I was just going to say, even if you have no idea who's WWE champion on SpongeBob?
Like, you go, oh, that's WWE. I remember when it was The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, he's on.
A couple years ago, I was up with Caroline and her cousin and her fiance were staying for a little bit. So I was doing work, because I got to do work fucking every day. And the first reaction was like, oh, WWE. Yeah, I know WWE. Like, I know of John Cena and like The Rock, and that's pretty much it. Like that kind of thing.
And you go, oh, they don't fight anymore.
And then it's like, yeah, okay, well, like, you don't know any of these other characters. And that was around the time that I think that there was like no, it wasn't Otis doing that stuff. This was pre-pandemic, of course. Who's man? It's somebody like it might have been when Braun Strowman was doing the gimmick where he was just like picking people and throwing them all over the place or something. Whatever it was, there was like some goofy stuff happening like that, and they were all like, "Oh, this is actually kind of fun," and like getting kind of a little bit invested into it and everything. But in their minds, they were just sort of like, "Yeah, the WWE is like a thing, but not something that's on their radar."
The most over thing about WWE is WWE.
Yeah, it's just the name at this point,
and that's literally how they're marketing themselves. That's all of it.
It's like they all gave up.
And I feel like they did.
I don't know if that applies the same with some of the other things like football and whatever, because to me, that's just, it's always existed as its own separate kind of entity. Because like everybody knows baseball.
Right. But like you can root for the Mets every year. But like,
yeah. And
because you know it's predetermined, you're like, oh, they're not pushing Dolph Ziggler. I'm over it because they're just not pushing Dolph Ziggler ever.
Yeah. They get the weird kind of thing. Like they're not scripted TV where you can get invested into the characters and get into the stories the same kind of way as like I just over the course of 3 days, because I didn't have enough time to binge it in one shot. I would have binged it in one shot, but I watched all the episodes of Invincible. Great show.
Yeah, I gotta finish that. If I finish that, maybe we'll end up doing something on that.
And I loved that, and I got super into it. And I'm like, oh man, they're gonna do a season 2 and they're gonna do a season 3. This is great. I can't wait for it. But I'm not gonna have any investment in it until they do that. Like Invincible's just kind of not gonna be a part of my thing until they put out season 2, whenever that's gonna be. Whereas WWE, week to week to week to week, multiple episodes a week. It's a lot different when there's 8 episodes of a 1-hour show and then you're done versus we just got 3 hours of Raw, we got 2 hours of NXT, and we got 2 hours of, and we just keep coming through that list every single week. They don't have that luxury of being that type of a show where for the course of 2 months, people are talking about Loki. Or, hey, everybody just got The Mandalorian this week. We talk about it for that day. And that's about it.
It could be if they were doing it proper.
If they changed a couple things around, yeah. But then they also don't get the thing with like regular sports where it's just like, hey, Days, for instance, is super into going to Phillies games. And he's been to like 6 of them, I think, on this season, maybe even more. Because he just is like, I want to go, go to the Phillies game. Like it's a fun activity for him, and he's invested into the actual sports themselves and tracking the teams and stuff. And you get diehards that are super into hockey or whatever it might be. They're going to just watch every game. It doesn't matter. There's no story. They can't be disappointed with anything other than whether or not the team that they wanted to win won. Because most people, when they're watching a football game, they're not going, oh, this is a great game, the same way as we're going, this is a great match. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you can't just go, oh, wow, they actually pulled together a great match. Because then you're investing in the outcome. Like Callum said, this is petrifying for him. Because last I checked, it was 1-1 England-Denmark. And it's knockout, so England loses, and they're going home. Never mind, it's coming home. It's concerning.
With soccer or football from everywhere in the world that understands that it makes more sense if it's called football, and Americans are just dumb. We call it soccer. I no matter what, I just can't picture anything other than center passes to left, back to center, center holds it, holds it. Yeah. I watched a little bit of the World Cup the last time, and I was just kind of like, oh, I get it. So they pass it around, and any opportunity that somebody says that they think that they can stop the other team from progressing down the field, they just pretend like they're injured. That's it. It's just, oh, my leg. I'm actually okay, but I just wanted everybody to stop for a minute. Yeah, WWE is just.
I just put the game on because I'm looking at videos of people like dancing in the sands. It's the feeling of these kinds of games is incredible. It's like, but again, that's the people that make that. With wrestling, it's scripted, so it's like it should be good every week because you have a writing team
Yeah.
that can do that.
Yeah, you can make sure that instead of being like, wow, this was a boring game of basketball where nobody scored, or like, man, this was a crazy game. Like people were scoring left and right, and people are doing all these, these passes that are crazy. And this one guy shot from the one end of the court to the other one, and he ended up, whatever, that kind of thing. You can't script that. But with WWE, you could be like, hey, how about we have like engaging characters and interesting matches, and we plan things out ahead of time. And then it's like, no, damn it, we're gonna.
And they go, oh, these two people can wrestle for 45 minutes, and I never have to worry about a thing. Sold.
Where they go, or they can't. Well, they'll do it anyway. And we'll have a promo ahead of time to kill some time, so that way a full hour is eaten up by a 10-minute promo and 15 minutes worth of commercials and recapping the promo when we come back from the commercials, and then we have a 30-minute match. Then you go, God damn it, that was a fucking hour just went by, and all we got was, remember that you guys previously qualified for the Money in the Bank, and you're going to fight later. And you go, God damn it.
Yep.
WWE definitely isn't as iconic as it once was before, because right now they're in a lull where they are not prioritizing being that type of a thing. They're prioritizing more than anything else having content for somebody to be invested in. That's about it.
And I want to round it out with this. I know we're doing predictions next week, so I don't want to ask you who you think is going to win Money in the Bank. But do you think that somebody who is announced for Money in the Bank will win Money in the Bank? Do you think that one of the names that's already announced is going to win?
On either of the two sides, I think, yeah. Between the men and the women, because most of it's already sorted out. So just the sheer probability of it.
Do you think that there will be any surprise comebacks? Because they're basically, I fully expect to see Sasha Banks at Money in the Bank. Because they keep saying, I don't know, maybe I'll fight Bayley again, but we might have some surprises. Instead of just saying, hey, look, it's SummerSlam, people are back, just watch the show. They feel the need to keep going, we might have some surprises.
Well, on the women's side, there's two missing spots, right?
Yeah.
Liv Morgan's got to be one of them.
Has to be.
And then I'm assuming Sasha's the other one.
If it's not Sasha, it's Sonya herself.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Either it's like, all right, Liv, I'm finally going to give you that opportunity. You've proven it or whatever, but guess what? I'm going to be in it too. And then it's like a Sonya and Liv feud going forward.
Because Sonya deserves a chance. Because she was doing great work before the unfortunate issue with the stalker and all that.
And if Sonya's in it, I think she's got a good chance to win it.
Yeah.
But so then that goes against the whole, like, if somebody's already announced, because she's not announced yet.
If Sasha's in it, I'll say this. I think there's a chance that we have two cash-ins. Successful cash-ins on Sam that never been done before, and I think it's possible.
I really hope that's not the case.
I'll say this. I think the men's briefcase is for sure getting cashed in at Money in the Bank.
Really?
Yeah.
I think more than anything that it isn't. I would think that Sasha could potentially cash in on Belair, but I don't think that anybody's going to cash in on Bobby.
I've said this on other podcasts, and I'll say it here. I think Big E's winning, and I think he's cashing in on Bobby. I think Kofi loses, but New Day still gets the belt because Big E wins.
I'm leaning more towards, and we'll talk about this next week when some things change too. I'm leaning more towards Big E wins Money in the Bank, but he challenges Lashley for SummerSlam.
That would be dumb.
Oh, yeah. In its own way, yeah. But, I mean, look, I wouldn't have this kind of a card for Money in the Bank right now anyway, if I were in the writing team and I could pull those strings.
I definitely will say I think only Big E right now looks like he should even be in consideration for the win. Riddle maybe, but even Riddle, it's like you're fine as the character that you are.
Yeah.
I need to briefcase.
So we will talk about that stuff down the
That's a good
line.
chat. Nice catching up with you, Tony. Apparently, we let others hear it as well.
We are gonna round things out this week with the hot tags. We'll talk about any advancements with the Jimmy Uso situation. He had his DUI yesterday, so we don't know how that's going to play out on SmackDown, for instance, but we'll talk about that. We'll run down some of the other stuff that happened at Great American Bash and the other TV show content that we're recapping, and talk a little bit of our predictions about the NXT Breakout Tournament, because we know the names now that are going to be competing on that. And,
I've already picked my finals, and I can't wait to discuss it with you tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Friday on the hot tags.
I picked my person I think is going to win, but not necessarily finals. I think I'm going to win. Wonder if it's the same person.
I think it's got to be.
Does his name start with a Josh?
That's absolutely. And England scores the goal. Hey, look at that. It's 2-1. I think they just won.
Well, then that's a good story. See, they scripted that one.
Oh, look at this. Place is going nuts. You would never know that just a few months ago there was a global pandemic. This place is going insane.
Where are they doing that? Is it in England or?
It's definitely in the continent of Europe. I don't know where.
Probably shouldn't have as many people like that, but then that's another story.
That is amazing.
Yeah, we're going to do the hot tags with that. We're going to talk about that top 50 tag team thing that you mentioned before. We'll talk about that too. And then at the end of this week, you'll have had not only that kind of content, but you'll also have some other stuff from Fanboys, because Black Widow is coming out.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to check that out, put up like a review point or something. And another episode of A Review to a Kill will have been posted. So check out all that stuff happening on fanboysanonymous.com. And maybe some other stuff. I don't know. It kind of depends on timing. And, maybe we'll do another Rcast or something. Put that up on the channel.
Maybe, whatchamacallit, Pixar released another movie, and I can watch this by myself, or maybe just watch it with Tony. You never know.
Sometimes we just randomly do stuff in the middle of the night. It might be 11 o'clock, and it might just be like, I don't know, mock draft or something.
It'll be 11 o'clock, and I'll go, well, we've got a few more In Your Houses to watch.
Right, yeah. Like we did recently. It was not at all the plan to do that. It was, all right, fuck it, let's just do it. Next week after that, we'll get into some Money in the Bank stuff, and we'll kind of keep things rolling. And eventually, we're going to get to that mailbag for quarter four. That'll be somewhere in October. I don't know exactly when, because my October is going to be looking like crazy right now. But yeah, if you have not been able to send your mailbag questions in for this edition, send them in ahead of time. And when we do that quarter four mailbag, then, we'll take advantage of that and we'll answer the questions there. Maybe I'll even kind of lump the mailbag in with the 10-year anniversary thing or something. I don't know. Well, I might have some time to figure that out. Definitely need some time, because I need time to figure out more wedding planning stuff. So, we'll do what we do. We'll keep sticking around here. Hopefully you'll stick around listening to us. Hopefully you enjoyed this edition too. And hopefully you keep checking out everything that we've got going on. If you follow us on our social media accounts, you'll see whatever random stuff I think about posting in like 4 a.m, or, what things Rob's going to get into when he gets into his upcoming thing with Pineapple Pete, for instance.
Yeah. I'm going to be reviewing SmackDown on July 23rd with Pineapple Pete. So there's that. Please come and watch and support. I always appreciate it. And we'll see what happens.
You can follow him at Dude Felice.
That's right. You need to follow me at Dude Felice. I thought it was on the screen. It might be on the screen. I don't know. Follow me at Dude Felice.
No, the screen right now just says mailbag Q&A and all that.
All right, fair enough. Follow me at Dude Felice. DUDEFBLICE. I always try to do that like Jeff Jarrett, but it's not as good.
Yeah, you can't do the same cadence of rhythm as JEFF, JARRETT. Been listening to more episodes of his podcast recently.
He's very good.
I like it when they're talking about the topics that I'm interested in, but I could not get into the TNA ones. Like, I tried listening to the first one. I listened to like the first hour of it, and I'm like, I just kind of don't care about like setting up the money to get into setting up TNA.
Yeah, I didn't realize until about last week, I think they finally said, first episode. I said, wait a minute, the other 3 episodes about TNA weren't about the first episodes? No, they're just about setting up TNA. I think that's amazing.
I couldn't do that. I listened to the
That's
Owen
one of
Hart
those
one,
things
though.
that, like, if I'm completely bored and I got time to kill, yeah, I'll put that on and just listen to it.
Yeah. I did that when I was, like, setting up that closet thing and, like that kind of stuff. But, this podcast is a different story. Everybody should listen to this all the time. Thank you for listening to this. Oh, follow me at Tony Mango as well.
Wait a minute. Guest 5 had a question about Callum and I doing a retro podcast. So yes, the podcast that we're discussing right now would have all the content on Patreon. It's just a matter of putting it together.
So stay tuned for that.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for what else is coming up next. And hopefully you guys are having fun. Hopefully you're having a good day. Hopefully you're staying safe. And we will see you next time, everybody. But for now, this has been another Smark Out Moment. And we're being counted out.